The stars shone cold and distant over the Zorathian system, a glittering web of planets and moons under the rule of the alien princes. From their crystal towers and floating command ships, the young rulers laughed at the idea of humans posing any real danger. To them, humans were primitive, fragile, and slow, creatures of barely enough intelligence to navigate space, let alone challenge their fleets. Prince Varric reclined in his command chair, his tentacle-like fingers tapping lightly against the holographic display. His twin brother, Talon, hovered nearby, watching the human scouting reports scroll across the screen. "Another small strike team," Varric said with a scoff. "3 ships barely armed. They will not even last a day in the asteroid belts." Talon's golden eyes glimmered with amusement. "Perhaps. But humans have always surprised us before, brother." "Even so, minor annoyances are not worth our attention." Varric waved a dismissive claw. "Let them come. Let them waste their feeble lives. We have bigger things to plan. The mining colonies, the new trade routes, all theirs for the taking." Meanwhile, far from the grandeur of alien towers, the human scout ship Endeavour slipped silently through the outer asteroid belt of Zorith Prime. Captain Elena Grant stood at the helm, her eyes scanning the starfield with sharp precision. Her crew moved with quiet efficiency. Lieutenant Marcus checking navigation, Engineer Rena monitoring shields, and Scout Taro preparing their reconnaissance drones. "Captain," Marcus said, pointing to a flickering blip on the radar, "we've detected an alien patrol near the outer belt. 2 heavy cruisers. They haven't noticed us yet." Elena smiled slightly. "Good. That means we can gather more intel. Keep us at stealth speed. Let's see what they're hiding." The Endeavour was small compared to the alien ships, its hull modest, engines quieter, weapons minimal. But what humans lacked in size, they made up for in cunning and adaptability. Elena knew every corner of her ship, every advantage it had, and she trusted her team completely. As they drifted closer, the alien ship's bulk loomed on the scanner. Metallic, angular, and menacing, the cruisers looked unstoppable. But Elena focused not on size, but on movement. Humans had learned that speed, unpredictability, and clever strategy could offset even the largest of alien fleets. "Deploy the drones," she commanded. "We need visuals." Tiny scout drones shot into space, slipping past sensors, snapping images of alien formations, weapons arrays, and shield patterns. Every moment counted. Every piece of information could be the difference between survival and disaster. Back on the alien cruisers, Varric and Talon were oblivious to the small probes snooping at their secrets. Instead, they amused themselves with games of strategy on the holographic board, pitting imaginary fleets against one another. "Pathetic humans," Talon muttered, moving a digital piece across the board. "Even if they tried, they could never match our tactics." Yet in the shadows of the asteroid belt, the humans were already noting a critical flaw. One shield relay was slightly weaker than the others. One cruiser's engines pulsed irregularly. One communications array had a minor delay in encryption. These were details the aliens would never have noticed or cared about, but humans could exploit them. "Captain, we've got something," Scout Taro whispered, his eyes glued to the monitor. "The cruiser's sensor sweep isn't complete. There's a small blind spot on the starboard side." Elena nodded. "Perfect. We'll get a close look, but remember, no engagement unless necessary. This is reconnaissance. We don't start wars. We collect information." The Endeavour slipped silently into the blind spot. Sensors hummed softly, recording everything. The alien ships moved in predictable arcs, unaware of the human presence. Minutes passed like hours, each second filled with tension. Then Elena saw an opportunity. "There," she said, pointing to the shield relay. "A small pulse to disrupt it, nothing major. Let's see how they respond." Taro calibrated the drone's mini-emitter and fired a gentle pulse. The shield relay flickered, and the alien cruiser momentarily lost a fraction of its defensive field. On the monitor, the human crew held their breath, waiting. Far above, Varric noticed the fluctuation. "What was that?" he hissed. Leaning closer to the holographic display, Talon glanced up, eyes narrowing. "Probably a minor anomaly," he said. "We are fully operational. Nothing to worry about." But for the humans, it was a small victory. A proof that even the mightiest could be challenged, even in the smallest way. And small victories, Elena knew, could snowball into something far larger. The mission continued, the humans cataloging alien formations, patrol routes, and vulnerabilities. Every observation was recorded, every pattern noted. Hours passed. and as the Endeavor withdrew from the patrol area, Elena allowed herself a small smile. "Mission accomplished," she said quietly. "We've got more than enough for the Council. Let's get home." But back on the alien command ship, Varric and Talon's minor annoyance had begun to fester. "That pulse," Varric muttered when was strange. "Perhaps there is more to these humans than we thought." Talon frowned. "Minor, yes. But humans are unpredictable. Keep an eye on them, brother. That should be enough for now, but I do not like surprises." Varric waved him off. "Relax, it was minor. Humans cannot be a real threat. We have fleets, technology, skill. They have nothing." Yet deep down, a small seed of doubt had been planted. And seeds, once planted, could grow into forests. By the time the Endeavor returned to human space, the crew was exhausted but exhilarated. Elena debriefed the Council, explaining every weakness, every pattern, every opportunity. Her voice was calm, her words precise, but her eyes held fire. Humans had been underestimated, but they were far from powerless. The Council members leaned forward, eyes wide as they listened. "This is more than we expected," one of them said. "If we use this intelligence correctly, the aliens will not see us coming." Elena nodded. "They will think it's minor. That's our advantage. They will continue underestimating us, and when the time comes, we will use their arrogance against them." Outside, the stars stretched infinitely, indifferent to the struggles of humans and aliens alike. But in the small corridor of the Endeavor, a human scout team celebrated quietly, knowing that small moves, careful planning, and courage could begin to turn the tides of a war no one yet realized had begun. The stars were a dark canvas as the human scout ship Endeavor drifted through the asteroid belts near Zoreth Prime. Captain Elena Grant stood at the helm, her eyes scanning the flickering lights of distant patrols. The mission had changed since their last encounter with the alien fleet. Now they were no longer merely observers. Every movement, every calculation mattered. They were learning the weaknesses of an empire that considered them insignificant. Lieutenant Marcus tapped on the navigation console. "Captain, we've mapped 3 patrol corridors near the asteroid cluster. If we stay in these shadows, we can move closer without being detected." Elena nodded. "Good, keep the drones ready. We'll need visuals from every angle. Taro, start scanning for communication signals. If we can listen in, we can predict their movements before they even begin." Scout Taro worked quickly, sending out a network of microdrones. Each drone was no bigger than a human hand, yet they could record detailed images, intercept weak signals, and slip past the alien sensors unnoticed. The aliens had never designed their fleets to defend against intelligence smaller, faster, and smarter than themselves. Hours passed as the Endeavor drifted silently, hidden behind asteroid shadows. The human crew moved like ghosts, every action precise, every sensor reading carefully noted. "Captain," Taro whispered, "there's a blind sector in their patrol grid. One of the cruisers rotates too slowly, leaving a small corridor open for about 30 seconds every cycle." Elena leaned closer, a spark of excitement in her eyes. "Perfect. That's our path. We'll get a close look at the cruiser systems." Marcus set course. "But keep stealth shields active. Any misstep could cost us dearly." The Endeavor glided through the dark corridor. Stars shimmered faintly around them, reflected off the jagged surfaces of asteroids. Every creak of the ship, every flicker of the control panel felt louder in the silence. Then came the first glimpse. The alien cruiser. Massive, angular, and intimidating, it drifted like a predator waiting in space. Its shields pulsed softly and its engines glowed with alien energy. Yet to the humans it was a puzzle waiting to be solved. "Focus on the relays and engines," Elena instructed. "Document any irregularities." The drones moved into position, scanning every detail. One engine pulse skipped slightly, a minor flaw. One shield relay flickered for a fraction of a second, enough to be exploited. One communication array rotated slower than the others. These were tiny weaknesses, almost invisible. But humans had learned to see what aliens could not. Hours passed as the team gathered data. Meanwhile, on the alien cruiser, the officers began noticing minor anomalies. Slight interference, unexplained readings, but the princes had dismissed the humans as irrelevant. "Perhaps it is just a malfunction," one officer said nervously. Prince Varric waved him off. "Do not waste my time. Humans are inferior. We are flawless," but Talon's eyes narrowed. "Flawless or not, anomalies exist. Keep monitoring. Elena knew their arrogance was their weakness. Humans didn't need to overpower the aliens in raw strength. They needed to outthink them, to exploit flaws that could not be fixed by brute force. As night turned to day in the distant star system, the humans prepared their next move. Using a micro-drone equipped with a low-energy pulse, they targeted one of the cruiser's shield relays. The pulse was weak, just enough to test the reaction. On board the alien cruiser, sensors flickered. The shield relay, it fluctuated, one officer reported, confusion evident in his voice. Varric laughed. Minor anomaly. Nothing to worry about. Humans cannot reach us. But deep in the crew quarters, Talon frowned. Minor, perhaps, but humans are cunning. Their small victories may lead to larger ones. We cannot ignore them forever. Elena smiled faintly at the monitor. Another small success, another piece of the puzzle. Every step counts, she said softly. They think it's minor. That's our advantage. Days passed, and the human scouts moved like shadows through the star system. They mapped patrol routes, learned the timing of fleet rotations, and even intercepted alien communications. Every detail was carefully analyzed and logged. Captain, Marcus said one evening, I've noticed something. Their communication signals repeat at regular intervals. If we can predict the pattern, we could intercept and decode their messages. Elena nodded, her mind working quickly. Do it, Taro. Adjust the drones to sync with the frequency. Rena, monitor our shields. We can't risk detection. The team worked in perfect harmony, each member aware of the importance of the mission. Humans had learned over centuries that survival in hostile environments depended on trust, skill, and unity. It was a lesson the alien princes had not learned. Meanwhile, the alien princes began to feel unease. Minor incidents had escalated in their perception. Patrols returned with reports of interference. Drones found near critical installations, and yet, no direct attacks had occurred. It is troubling, Talon said, pacing in the command room. Humans are small, weak, yet they appear everywhere. They may be insignificant individually, but collectively, they are unpredictable, Varric sneered. Do not exaggerate. One small strike team cannot threaten us. Focus on the colonies. That is our priority. But Talon was not convinced. Even the smallest spark can start a fire. We cannot ignore them forever. Back in the asteroid belt, the humans were ready for a subtle strike. Using the information they had gathered, they planned a minor operation. Disable a relay hub that controlled multiple patrol drones. No lives would be lost. No destruction beyond what was necessary. It was a surgical move, demonstrating human skill and intelligence without crossing the line of total warfare. The Endeavor approached the target silently. Taro deployed micro-drones armed with electromagnetic pulses. They infiltrated the hub, avoiding detection with careful precision. Within moments, the drones emitted brief pulses, disabling the patrol drones temporarily. On the alien cruiser, alarms blared. Officers scrambled, trying to regain control of the patrol units. Varric's eyes blazed with anger. This is unacceptable. Find them! Talon remained calm but tense.
They are clever.
Too clever. We underestimated them. This must be acknowledged. For the humans, it was another victory, not through brute force but through strategy, patience, and intelligence. Elena allowed herself a quiet smile. They are learning to fear what they do not understand. That is our greatest weapon. By the time the Endeavor returned to human space, the team was exhausted but exhilarated. They had proven that humans, though smaller and less equipped, could outthink and outmaneuver a far larger enemy. Every report, every observation, and every minor victory would be invaluable in the battles to come. Elena debriefed the human council with calm precision, outlining every detail of the mission. They believe we are minor, she said, but every flaw we exploit, every weakness we uncover, changes the balance. We do not need to match them ship for ship. We need to match them in strategy, creativity, and courage. That is how humans survive and thrive against forces far larger than ourselves. The council members listened, their faces a mixture of concern and admiration.
Captain, your team has done the impossible, one said.
We underestimated the aliens' confidence, but they will soon learn that humans are not to be dismissed. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, indifferent to the struggles of human scouts and alien princes alike. Yet in the corridors of the Endeavor, a quiet sense of purpose filled the air. Humans were not the strongest in raw power, But their intelligence, cooperation, and adaptability gave them an advantage the aliens could never anticipate. And far away, in the crystal towers of the alien princes, whispers of an unknown enemy grew louder. The humans were still small, still outnumbered, but their influence was spreading. Shadows in the stars, subtle and unseen, were beginning to shape the future of the galaxy. Elena knew the journey ahead would be dangerous. The aliens would not remain complacent forever. But as long as humans continued to think, adapt, and act together, they could turn even the smallest opportunities into powerful victories. For now, the humans had planted the first seeds of doubt in the minds of the alien princes, and seeds, once planted, could grow into forests of resistance. The asteroid fields of Zorath Prime were silent, save for the occasional shimmer of distant starships. The human scout ship Endeavour drifted through the shadows, engines barely making a sound. Captain Elena Grant studied the mission display, her eyes sharp, her mind calculating every move. Today they would no longer merely observe, they would act. "This is it," Elena said softly, addressing her crew. "A small strike, surgical, precise. We disrupt their patrol hub and send a message. Humans are not to be underestimated. We avoid casualties. We show intelligence and skill, nothing more." Lieutenant Marcus nodded. "All systems are green. Drones are ready. Weapons are minimal but effective. No unnecessary damage. Engineer Rena checked the shield output. Stealth shields are fully operational. We can slip past their sensors if we move carefully." Scout Taro uploaded the final scans to the ship's control system. "Timing is critical. We have exactly 60 seconds in their blind spot before reinforcements arrive." Elena took a deep breath. "Good, everyone, remember precision, speed, and silence. Let's begin." The Endeavour glided forward, slipping into the narrow corridor between two asteroid clusters. The alien patrol hub loomed ahead, a massive cylindrical station bristling with antennas and sensor arrays. Dozens of drones hovered around it, scanning space for intruders. To the alien princes, this station was secure, untouchable, but humans had seen the flaws. Every rotation of a drone, every slight delay in signal transmission, every unshielded panel had been noted. The plan was simple: disable the patrol drones, gather intelligence, and retreat without leaving a trace. "Deploy the drones," Elena commanded. The micro-drones zipped through the void like swarms of insects, tiny and invisible against the dark backdrop of space. They slipped past the patrol patterns, weaving between beams of light and sensor sweeps. The patrol drones moved predictably, their programming rigid and precise, perfect for human exploitation. "On my mark," Taro whispered. The first pulse hit. A faint electromagnetic burst disrupted several patrol drones simultaneously. They froze, drifted, then powered down temporarily. On the control screens of the Endeavour, the crew held their breath, watching the subtle chaos unfold. "Excellent," Elena said. "Now for the hub." The drones approached the patrol hub carefully. They emitted calculated bursts to interfere with the hub's communication arrays. Signals flickered. Data streams paused. One of the hub's smaller defense turrets powered down, just long enough for a drone to access a data port and copy navigation logs. On the alien cruiser command deck, alarms blared. Officers shouted over comms. Prince Varric's claws tapped furiously on the holographic console. "What is happening?" "This should be impossible." Talon stood beside him, his golden eyes narrowed. "It is the humans. They are no longer harmless. This is more than a minor nuisance," Varric's pride flared. "Impossible. They cannot breach a hub defended by automated systems. They have nothing but small ships and primitive drones." But Talon remained calm, his voice measured. "They have intelligence, brother. And that intelligence is dangerous. Watch them carefully. This may be the beginning of a problem far larger than we imagined." Back in the asteroid field, the Endeavour's crew continued the operation. Another pulse, another disruption. The patrol hub's drones began rebooting erratically, creating gaps in coverage. The micro-drones slipped inside, mapping the internal layout and extracting valuable data. "Data acquired," Taro reported. "We have their patrol routes, reinforcement schedules, and internal security protocols. This will be invaluable for future operations." Elena nodded. "Good. Let's finish and move out." The final pulse was timed perfectly. A few moments of confusion in the hub, then all systems returned online. The patrol drones rebooted, unaware of the intrusion, and the Endeavour slipped back into the shadows of the asteroid belt. For the humans, it was a small victory, yet monumental. They had acted where the aliens thought it impossible. They had shown skill, precision, and courage. And more importantly, they had remained invisible, leaving the alien forces baffled and embarrassed. Back on the alien command deck, Varric slammed a claw onto the console. "This is unacceptable. They have breached the hub. How can a species with such primitive technology do this?" Talon's voice was calm but firm. "Varric, it is not the technology that makes them dangerous. It is their creativity, their adaptability, and their willingness to work together. They exploit our rigid systems because we think ourselves flawless. That is the flaw," Varric growled, frustration boiling over. "We must strike back. Deploy the fleet. Crush these humans." Talon shook his head. "Patience. Do not act hastily. Observe, learn. They are clever, yes, but we are powerful. Rushing could play into their hands." Meanwhile, the Endeavor returned to a safe distance. Elena exhaled, tension leaving her body. "We've proven ourselves today. Small moves, big impact. This is only the beginning." Marcus leaned back in his chair, still watching the stars. "Captain, they will know humans are not to be dismissed now. This is going to change everything." Elena nodded. "Yes, and that is the point. Humans have always been underestimated. That is our advantage. We turn their arrogance into our strength. One day, they will learn not to ignore the small and intelligent. But that day is not today. Today, we survive, we learn, and we grow stronger." The team reviewed the data they had gathered. Every patrol route, every reinforcement schedule, every flaw in the hub's defenses was documented. The humans were small, yes, but they were now formidable in knowledge, a weapon the alien princes had never anticipated. In the crystal towers of the alien princes, tension simmered. The reports of a breached hub spread quickly. Varric was furious, pacing back and forth. "They have embarrassed us. How can we allow such creatures to mock our defenses?" Talon remained steady. "They are clever, brother. Not stronger, but unpredictable. They think in ways we do not. This is what makes them dangerous. Do not underestimate the humans again. Learn from them, or we will regret it." Varric paused, staring at the stars beyond the command windows. A small seed of doubt crept into his mind, unwelcome but persistent. Humans were not merely observers, they were planners, thinkers, and doers. And for the first time, the princes realized that size, technology, and brute power were not always the deciding factors in battle. Back on the Endeavor, the crew prepared for the journey home. They had struck without casualties, gathered valuable intelligence, and demonstrated the skill and ingenuity that made humans unique in the galaxy. Elena looked at her team, pride and determination in her eyes. "We've taken the first step. We've shown them that humans can be clever, fast, and precise. They will not forget this day. And neither will we. Every mission, every move, every decision counts. We are small, yes, but we are capable of greatness." The stars stretched endlessly around them, indifferent to the struggles of humans and aliens alike. But in the small corridors of the Endeavor, a sense of purpose filled the air. Humans were not the strongest in raw power, but they had something far greater: adaptability, intelligence, courage, and the ability to work together. And somewhere in the alien fleets, the princes whispered and argued. Minor actions had grown into questions. Small victories had sparked doubt. The humans had started a ripple, small at first, but destined to grow into waves that would challenge everything the alien princes believed about their superiority. Elena watched the stars, silent and focused. "This is only the beginning," she said softly. "We've shown them what humans can do, and next time we will go further." The humans had acted for the first time, leaving their mark on the galaxy. The alien princes, arrogant and powerful, had begun to learn a lesson they would not forget. Humans were not minor. Humans were dangerous. The Zorathian system buzzed with tension, though no one could see it from the quiet of space. In the crystal towers of the alien princes, reports of minor disruptions and strange anomalies filled the day. For the first time, the young rulers, Prince Varric and Prince Talon, could not ignore the humans. Varric slammed his claw on the control console, frustration burning in his eyes. These humans. One strike, one disruption, and they already make us question our plans. How can creatures so small be so clever? Talon's golden eyes glimmered with thought. It is not cleverness alone, brother. It is their adaptability, their ability to work together. Humans are unpredictable. That is what makes them dangerous. We cannot face them as we would a normal threat. Varric scowled. I still say it is minor. They are weak, but Their tactics make them dangerous in ways I do not like. Across the system, the human scout ship Endeavour drifted quietly through a dense nebula. Captain Elena Grant reviewed the data gathered from their last strike. Patrol routes, reinforcement schedules, drone weaknesses, and communication patterns. Every piece of intelligence was studied carefully. The humans were small, but they had the most powerful weapon in space: knowledge. "Captain," Marcus said, pointing to the navigation screen, "there's an opening in the outer patrol belt. We could use it to gather more intelligence, maybe even access a minor research station." Elena's eyes lit up with focus. "Good. Taro, prepare the drones. Rena, ensure our stealth shields are at maximum. This operation will be subtle. No alarms, no confrontations. We only observe and learn. Our strength is our knowledge." The Endeavour slipped into the shadows of the nebula, silent and precise. The alien patrols moved predictably, their sensors scanning routine paths. Yet for all their technology, they could not anticipate human unpredictability. Taro deployed the drones into the hidden paths of the station. Tiny and nearly invisible, they infiltrated corridors, recording schematics, security protocols, and data about the alien fleets. Every observation was catalogued meticulously. The humans were no longer minor annoyances. They were shadows in the stars, silent, observant, and deadly in intelligence. On the alien side, reports began stacking up. Patrol drones malfunctioned. Minor stations lost contact temporarily. One cruiser returned with unexplained system interference. The alien officers whispered among themselves, uncomfortable with the unseen force striking from the shadows. Varric's voice rang sharp in the council room. "Enough. Find these humans and crush them. Do not let them make fools of us again." Talon's eyes remained calm. "Brother, patience. Rushing will play into their hands. Watch and study. They are intelligent, yes, but they are also human, predictable in their unpredictability. Observe them, learn, and prepare for when action is necessary." Varric gritted his teeth. "They are clever, I will give you that. But cleverness alone cannot defeat fleets." Talon tilted his head, thoughtful. "Cleverness combined with courage and unity can defeat even the strongest fleets. That is what humans possess. We must not underestimate them again." Meanwhile, in the dense nebula, the Endeavour's crew worked flawlessly. The data collected from the minor research station revealed critical information: patrol rotations, weak points in fleet coordination, and even flaws in the aliens' encryption systems. Every detail was a stepping stone toward leveling the playing field. "Captain," Marcus said, excitement in his voice, "with this data, we can predict their fleet movements with over 90% accuracy. That is a huge advantage." Elena nodded, a small smile on her face. "Exactly. Humans may be small, but our advantage is strategy. We strike where they are weak, act where they are unaware, and think where they are rigid. That is why humans survive. That is why humans thrive." Back on Zorath Prime, Talon studied the intercepted transmissions. The humans were learning faster than expected. They were exploiting flaws in timing, using unpredictable maneuvers, and gathering intelligence without leaving direct traces. "They are changing their tactics with every encounter," he told Varric. "We cannot rely on brute strength. Humans adapt. They analyze and improve. Every move they make teaches them more about us, and every minor success boosts their confidence." "This is dangerous." Varric's claws twitched in irritation. "Then we must act. Strike them directly before they grow stronger." Talon shook his head. "That is precisely what they want. They are waiting for overconfidence. Observe, plan, learn. Then when the time comes, we act decisively, but only after we truly understand them." Elena's team, unaware of the internal debates of alien princes, continued their mission. Another patrol hub was within reach, but instead of striking, they observed. Timing, communication sequences, drone patterns. They noted every detail. Every human scout learned the lesson that war could be won not by overwhelming force, but by careful planning, intelligence, and adaptability. Hours later, the Endeavour retreated to a safe distance, data secure, systems intact. The crew exhaled, fatigue mixing with pride. "We are making progress," Elena said softly. "They are learning to fear us, not because of weapons, but because we are thinking, acting, surviving. That is the difference between humans and every species that underestimates us." Marcus leaned back, watching the stars drift by. "Do you think they'll ever take us seriously?" Elena's eyes gleamed with determination. They already are. They just don't know it yet. And that is our advantage. Humans thrive when underestimated. That is why we survive. That is why humans endure. Meanwhile, on Zorath Prime, Talon reported to the High Council. The humans are small, yes, but they are intelligent and resilient. Their strategies are effective even against our advanced fleets. We must reconsider our approach. They are not the minor threat we once believed. Varric's frustration was clear. They are clever, yes, but one day they will face our full force. Then their cleverness will count for nothing. Talon's golden eyes were steady. Cleverness counts for more than brute force. Intelligence, patience, and adaptability can change the outcome of battles. Humans possess all three. We cannot ignore that. The alien princes had begun to learn a critical lesson. Humans were unpredictable, intelligent, and united. They had underestimated a species that seemed small and weak, only to find that subtlety, strategy, and courage made humans formidable. In the Endeavor's control room, Elena reviewed all collected intelligence. We've learned their patterns, their weaknesses, and their responses. Every step we take prepares us for the next. Humans survive because we think, we plan, and we act together, and one day, that will change the balance in this system. The crew worked quietly, confident in their abilities, aware that the small victories of today could become the decisive actions of tomorrow. Humans were not the largest, the fastest, or the most technologically advanced, but they were clever, adaptable, and courageous, qualities the alien princes had yet to fully appreciate. The stars stretched endlessly around them, silent witnesses to the growing tension. Small shadows moved in the dark, gathering intelligence, learning, adapting, and far away, in the towers of crystal and steel, the alien princes whispered to each other. "They are clever," Talon said. "They are brave. They are humans, and we cannot ignore them any longer." Varric's pride battled with reality. "We will crush them one day," he muttered, "but they are not to be dismissed anymore." Elena glanced at the stars and smiled faintly. Humans had survived, adapted, and thrived. They had proven that intelligence, courage, and unity were as powerful as any fleet or weapon. The Zorathian system shimmered with tension, an invisible storm swirling between planets, moons, and asteroid belts. The alien princes, Varric and Talon, sat in their crystal command towers, the glow of the stars reflecting off their polished surfaces. Reports of human movements and minor strikes had become impossible to ignore. No longer were the humans a minor nuisance. They had proven that strategy, intelligence, and teamwork could challenge even the most powerful fleets in the galaxy. Varric slammed his claw on the console, frustration lacing every movement. "We have underestimated them for too long. They move in ways we cannot predict, strike where we thought we were safe. Enough of their games. Prepare the fleet. We will crush them at the first opportunity." Talon's golden eyes glimmered, calm and measured. Brother, rushing would play into their hands. Humans are intelligent. They exploit mistakes and react faster than we anticipate. We must study them one last time before we commit fully. Otherwise, we risk total embarrassment. Or worse. But Varric's temper could not be restrained. "I am tired of waiting. Humans have proven they are clever. Let them see our full power." Meanwhile, in the depths of the asteroid belt, the human scout ship Endeavor drifted like a ghost through the shadows. Captain Elena Grant studied the fleet movements from the alien system. Intelligence gathered from previous missions had allowed humans to anticipate patrols, drone rotations, and reinforcement timings. Today, the humans would act, not just observe. "Captain," Marcus said, pointing to the display, "the alien fleet is moving to intercept one of our minor forward positions. If we can use their overconfidence, we could trap their vanguard and gain a strategic advantage." Elena nodded, eyes sharp and determined. "Perfect. We will not strike blindly. We will use their arrogance against them. Humans survive because we think, adapt, and act together. Today we prove it." Scout Taro prepared the micro-drones. "All drones are ready. We can interfere with their communication signals, create confusion, and mislead their patrols." Engineer Rena monitored the shields. "Stealth systems are fully operational. They won't detect us until we decide to reveal ourselves." Elena's calm voice commanded focus. "Then let's begin. Precision, timing, and intelligence. That is how humans win." The Endeavor slipped through the asteroid field, invisible and silent. The micro-drones darted ahead, small pulses disrupting alien communication channels. Patrol drones faltered, misaligned, and collided, creating small openings. The alien fleet, confident in their overwhelming numbers, had not anticipated human cunning. Now, Elena whispered, execute the plan. Using the chaos created by the drones, the humans struck at the alien vanguard. Precision pulses disabled critical systems without harming personnel. A few small cruisers were forced into temporary retreat. Navigation arrays failed briefly. The humans had not overwhelmed with power, but with intelligence and speed, they had achieved a tactical victory against a much larger force. On board the alien flagship, alarms blared. Officers shouted, clawed at consoles, and attempted to regain control of their confused fleet. Prince Varric's fury boiled over. How can this happen? We are powerful. They are small, weak, how? Talon watched, calm but concerned. It is their intelligence, brother. They strike where we cannot predict, adapt where we think they are rigid. Humans are not the weak species we assumed. They are resilient, clever, and united. That is why this happens. Varric's pride struggled against reality. We must strike them now. Crush them entirely. Talon shook his head. And risk falling into their trap? No, we observe, adapt, and strike carefully. That is the only way to counter them effectively. Meanwhile, the Endeavor moved swiftly, gathering more intelligence. Every pulse, every disruption, every micro-drone action added to the humans' growing advantage. They had proven one critical lesson. Intelligence could overcome size, strategy could overcome power, and unity could overcome arrogance. Captain, Marcus said, excitement in his voice. Their flagship has just altered its course erratically. They are reacting, but too slowly. We can predict their next move and stay 2 steps ahead. Elena smiled faintly. Exactly. Humans survive because we think faster, adapt faster, and act decisively. That is why we thrive. That is why humans endure. In the alien command towers, the princes were forced to confront an uncomfortable truth. Their arrogance had underestimated a species that thought differently, moved unpredictably, and worked together flawlessly. They are not minor, Talon admitted. They are formidable, not because they have power or numbers, but because they have strategy, unity, and courage. That is something we cannot ignore. Varric growled. Frustration etched across his face. Then we act decisively. We will not allow these humans to dictate terms. They must learn their place. But even in his fury, Varric felt a pang of respect. Humans had survived against impossible odds, adapted faster than expected, and achieved tactical victories that should have been impossible. Back in the asteroid field, the Endeavor launched one final operation. Using intelligence gathered over weeks, the crew orchestrated a maneuver that outflanked the alien fleet, disrupted their communication channels, and created confusion among multiple cruisers. The humans acted with precision, timing every pulse, every maneuver, every action to perfection. On board the alien flagship, Varric's frustration boiled over into panic. Orders were shouted, ships moved chaotically, and the princes realized they had underestimated the humans far more than they ever intended. They are everywhere, Varric shouted, and nowhere at the same time. Talon remained calm. No, brother. They are humans. They exploit our arrogance. They use intelligence and strategy. And now we see their full capability. This is the lesson we should have learned long ago. The Endeavor and its drones completed the operation, disabling several critical systems without destruction or loss of life. The human crew watched from the shadows as alien ships faltered, confusion spreading across the fleet. Elena allowed herself a quiet smile. They finally understand. Humans are not minor. Humans survive. Humans thrive. And today we turn the tide. For the first time, the alien princes acknowledged the truth. Humans were not weak, not insignificant, and not predictable. Their intelligence, courage, adaptability, and unity made them a species to be respected, even feared. Varric's pride struggled against the reality. We underestimated them, he admitted grudgingly. Talon's golden eyes glimmered. Yes, brother. And that mistake almost cost us control. But now we know. Humans are worthy opponents. They are intelligent, courageous, and unified. That is why they endure, and why we must respect them. In the aftermath of the battle, the Endeavor returned to human space, victorious without firing a single destructive salvo. The crew celebrated quietly, knowing they had proven the value of intelligence, strategy, and unity over raw power. Elena addressed her team. We have shown them what humans can do, not by destroying, not by overpowering, but by thinking, planning and acting together. That is the strength of humanity. That is the lesson of the stars. Never underestimate a small, united, intelligent force. The stars stretched endlessly around the Endeavor, silent witnesses to the courage and cunning of a species long underestimated. In the towers of crystal and steel, the alien princes whispered and reflected, realizing that underestimating humans had been their greatest mistake. And far in the void of space, the humans drifted, small but brilliant, their intelligence and unity casting long shadows across the galaxy. Humans had survived, adapted, and thrived once again.